Picture this. A big storm hits or a natural disaster. Your power is out. You don't know when it's going to come back on. Do you know where your generator is? Do you have enough gas? What about oil if you have to run that generator for an extended period of time? And when's the last time you even tested that generator? I live in Southeast Louisiana, and unfortunately, I have a ton of experience living through natural disasters and losing power for weeks at a time. I've learned a ton of very hard lessons, and I'm continuing to hone my emergency preparedness kit. And that's where the EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra X comes in. So this EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra X also has one feature that none of the other batteries that I've ever tested have had, and it is crucial for some of you guys out there. And we're gonna get into that a little bit later. So let me lay this out for you and tell you what I'm going for with my setup. During Hurricane Ida a few years ago, I lost power for upwards of 2 weeks. The initial estimate was that I was gonna lose power for 21 days. That's when they told us that it was gonna come back. Now, to afford a battery that could power my home for 21 days would be insane. I don't have solar, and it's something that I'm looking into, but I don't want to be using that generator all of the time because generators are super noisy, and I want to be able to hear what's going on around me, especially at nighttime. So the hybrid approach that I am taking is that I want a battery that can immediately give me power when the power goes out, because I'm also not going to go out into a storm and set up my generator. I just want the power to go out and then boom, immediately we switch over and we're using the battery. The battery can last for however many hours, maybe that first night, and then as it dies, I'll either in the future use solar, or for now, I can just use my generator, maybe during the day for a little while, charge that battery up, and then use the battery at nighttime. Now, the EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra X is no slouch. This thing is a beast. It can output up to 12 kW, and we're gonna be making this thing sweat because I have an 8 kW sauna and a 5-ton AC. You can pair it with their Smart Home Panel 3, which we'll get more into later. And one of the biggest selling points is that this thing is quick and easy to install, unlike some other whole home systems out there. EcoFlow is saying, hey, you can use our network of installers and you can have somebody out there within 7 days, and they can typically install this system in 1 day. And one of the best things about this is that it's so modular and plug and play. So once you get it installed, and if you opt for the smart home panel option as well, you can easily plug and play a car charger, solar, it could be on your roof, or it can even accommodate stuff like that you set up in your yard, and a generator. So if you didn't want to use this thing all the time, you could have some of those yard solar panels that you had stashed away, and then some kind of disaster hits or you lose power, and you can go set them up in your yard. Now the unit starts at 12 kW output, but can be expanded all the way to 36 kW output. For me, 12 kW is plenty. I have a 5-ton AC, and even without a soft start or a Kickstarter, this thing can start it up no problem. So really, you're not going to have any issues with your appliances, especially if you're managing them with that smart home panel, which again, we're going to get into. So I have one inverter and 2 batteries that can get me to 12 kW. That one inverter is expandable all the way to 60 kilowatt hours. And then you could have 3 of those for 180 kilowatt hours. And to give you an idea, I live in Southeast Louisiana. I run my AC in the summertime pretty much all the time, and I'm using about 70 kW in a 24-hour time span in the peak of summer, which is my peak demand. It supports up to a 12 kW generator input and can also handle 10 kW in solar. Now let's get into the Smart Home Panel 3 here. Now you don't have to use it with that. You can use this thing standalone, which I'll show you some video here. I happen to have a generator inlet on the outside of my house, so I can just plug this thing in directly to my house. So if I lost power, I could do it that way, but that would require an install of that inlet. So I would suggest probably just opting for the Smart Home Panel 3. It has 32 independently controlled circuits that you can smartly turn on and off. It's fully compatible with the Delta Pro Ultra X, generators, solar panels, and EV chargers. And the best part about it is that it offers near instant automatic backup power when you lose power. So the cool thing about this is that in the app, you can actually see each individual circuit, what it's consuming. You can turn it on, you can turn it off, or you can use its smart feature, its AI feature to kind of automatically do that to manage the loads for you. So if you lost power and you know you have this much battery capacity at the time, you could turn some things off. And maybe for me, I'm going to focus on my HVAC because I want to stay cool. When we had Hurricane Ida, before we got a generator, our home had reached 93 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, and that was absolutely miserable. So you would definitely, for me, want to prioritize HVAC in an outage, especially during the day. It's even smart enough, it has this AI that it can schedule based on the weather and whatnot. So one, it can do a backup for you. So if like a storm is coming, it'll make sure to keep that battery at 100%, or it can even look at a solar forecast. Also, there's going to be a whole contingent of people, this doesn't apply to me, but if you have variable pricing of your energy prices, then this thing is really going to pay off for you, because when energy is cheap, you can charge that battery right up. And then when energy is more expensive, you can discharge that battery to save yourself some money. And this thing could pay itself off in a matter of years if that's the agreement you have with your utility. For me, I just have a flat rate all the time. And so I'm more so going for, I'm looking for natural disasters, being in a hurricane prone area. That's what I'm preparing for. So just to provide you some detail on that automatic switch over, I said near instant, it is 20 milliseconds. So that is very fast that it's going to switch over from the grid when that goes down to using the battery power. So back to the Delta Pro Ultra X and some of the more nitty gritty about it. Like I said, 12 kW that it can output, which is just incredible. So it's handling my 5-ton AC, no problem. I actually love how easy it is to wheel this thing around. And I very stupidly have soft wood floors that scratch incredibly easily. This thing is very heavy. The wheels, it's a nice rubber and it just glides over the floor, no problem. Doesn't leave any divots or scratches or anything. So it's super easy to move around even though it's heavy. It's got your standard AC outlets, and it also has the NEMA 1450 and the L1430. I'm using the L1430, but it's got both for whatever you need. So I have 2 batteries. Each one of those is 6144 watt hours. So that gives me just over 12,000 watt hours. And when my AC is cycling, that can handle everything in my house for a few hours. Now, I said in the peak of summer, I'm using 70 kW in a day, but if a storm is coming, it's gonna be much cooler. It's gonna be overcast. So that 12 kW would actually get me pretty far because the AC would be cycling off much more. But I wanna get into one of the features that this is really important. I don't think people, if you're unfamiliar with this, this is something that you should really pay attention to, the feature that this Delta Pro Ultra X has. And not all batteries have it. I've tested a bunch of other ones as well. And one of the tests, the standard test that I like to do is I like to set up some solar panels in my yard and then have whatever battery I'm testing just power my cold plunge and just see how long it can do that for. The Delta Pro Ultra X has this feature where the battery can die, and then the solar can charge it back up. Let's say the next day, right? So it died overnight, you are powering something, and then the next morning the sun comes up, it charges enough, and it turns back on. You need to check when you're shopping for one of these batteries, will that battery system turn back on the loads that were on it when it died? Because not a lot of batteries do that, and this Delta Pro Ultra X will. So if you're not around, let's say you went somewhere, or maybe you had this set up at like a camp or something, and you happen to have a few overcast days and you had solar, and so the battery dies and then it kicks back on, and you want it to power a fridge or a freezer or some type of critical infrastructure in your house. It will do that. It has the memory function so that when it comes back on, it'll turn on those loads and start powering it again. Not all batteries have that. It can be crucial to have that feature, and this one does, and it's incredible. So when you're in the market for these battery systems, definitely pay attention to that, because that is a very big deal. And this is actually the first battery system that I've had that has this feature, and I'm very excited about that. Now, this thing is also remarkably quiet. I had it running pretty much full time at 5,000 watts. I did kind of stress it here and there up higher, but I had my AC on and it was just chugging away at 5,000 watts. And it got up to about 123 degrees was that exhaust air that it was pushing out, but it's super quiet. I mean, I couldn't even hear the fans. I could just feel the hot air coming out. So it's very quiet, but that's something else to remember. If you live in a hot area like me in the summertime and there's a natural disaster, be mindful of where you're putting the battery. You don't want to put it necessarily in a living space, because it's going to be actively heating that living space as maybe you're trying to cool it with your HVAC. So I'm trying to be strategic about where I'm putting mine outside in a utility closet. So that closet can get nice and warm, and I don't care about that, and the living space will stay nice and cool. Now, links to all of this stuff will be down in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for watching Break It Yourself. I know you've got zillions of options on YouTube, and you decided to click this video and even watch it to this point, which is very rare. Don't forget to thumbs me up, and we will see you next time.